This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Welcome into you on this Friday. I'm Rebecca Smith.
Like the sound of that. It is Friday, everybody. I'm Bill Bryant. February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Glad to have you along.
Now at 6 a.m., huge flames destroyed a Southern Kentucky restaurant. We're live with details.
Also on WKYT, a death investigation is underway in Lexington after a young man was found unresponsive right behind a restaurant.
A new pizza place moving into Lexington, into a building that's been empty for years.
Yeah, we're seeing that snow move on in just right on time, right? Here's the look down toward the south. This will start accumulating within the next 2 hours. Now, I'm going to show you once we get that on out of here when the next chance of snow comes, coming up.
Thank you. Let's get to the news.
A lot of cleanup needed today and this morning in Southern Kentucky where a huge fire destroyed a restaurant.
This happened last night at the Lee's Famous Recipe in London. A lot of folks know exactly where that is down there. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is at our live desk with the details and some fresh video. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it was quite the scene in downtown London last night, as you can see in these eyewitness videos. Firefighters say they got the call that smoke was coming from the Lee's Famous Recipe near Main Street around 9:30 last night. 8 hours later, and here's a live look at the fast food restaurant this morning. Flames still burning. Fire crews on the scene say they had to come back out to the restaurant about an hour ago after a hot spot was reignited. The firefighters on the scene this morning say when they initially arrived on the scene last night, they went inside to attack the fire. Then they saw signs the roof may collapse and they pulled out of the building. Firefighters say sometime later the entire roof did collapse, and that roof, firefighters say, is trapping so much heat inside the structure that's causing these hot spots to be reignited. The building is destroyed and firefighters are still on the scene watching for any more hot spots. Firefighters do not know the cause of the fire, but they do believe it started in the attic of the restaurant. Now, thankfully, the restaurant was closed at the time of the fire and no injuries were reported. Firefighters tell us investigators will be on the scene once the sun comes up this morning. We'll be sure to keep you updated throughout the morning. At the live desk, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Also new this morning, state police investigating an officer-involved crash. This happened around 1:30 this morning in Lincoln County on 1778 south of Stanford. By the time we got there, the scene was clear. We are still waiting to hear back from state police about the crash. Lexington police say cold weather may have played a role in a young man's death. That's concerning with dangerously cold temperatures in the weekend forecast. WKYT's Mark Barber is tracking this investigation live in Lexington.
Good morning, Rebecca. Police don't think anything suspicious was involved in the young man's death, but they think this cold weather may have killed him. They say they still aren't entirely sure. They are still investigating, but they tell us it was extremely cold when this young man was found. Now, the 22-year-old was found unconscious behind the Taco Bell near Nicholasville and Zandel last night. He was rushed to UK Hospital, which is where he was pronounced dead. So who is this man and why was he behind the restaurant? Those are questions that investigators are still working to answer this morning. Officers still do not know how he died, but again, they say it was very cold when they found him, so they're trying to figure out if the winter weather is to blame for his death. Now, this will be another very cold day, and so will Saturday as well as Sunday. For days, city leaders and health experts, they've been warning people about how dangerous this frigid air can be, and this might just be another terribly sad example of why it is so important to look out for your neighbors. Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Important reminder. Thank you very much, Mark. In a sad situation over there. Well, Kentucky lawmakers are considering a bill that would ban tobacco sales to anyone younger than age 21. Right now, anyone 18 and older can buy tobacco products. But the Herald Leader reports this morning a proposed bill would raise the legal age for buying both tobacco and nicotine vaporizing products to 21. State Representative David Watkins, who is a doctor, is sponsoring the bill. It has passed the House Health and Welfare Committee. Governor Matt Bevin is responding to former Governor Steve Beshear's decision to launch a campaign to try to save Kentucky's health insurance exchange. Connect was part of Beshear's legacy in the governor's office. Beshear says if Connect goes away, many Kentuckians would have to pay more for insurance. Governor Bevin plans to dismantle Connect by the end of the year. He says the state can't afford to keep the program.
Governor Bevin prides himself on being a successful businessman. So he should recognize and appreciate hard numbers and facts and evidence.
It is a little unprecedented and a little sad, frankly, that after 8 years that he's still scrambling for a sense of relevancy, but that's entirely up to him.
As part of his campaign to save Connect, Beshear has started a new website. Governor Bevin is hoping to move the state to the federal health exchange at some point.
New this morning, the Kentucky Supreme Court will review a lower court's decision about a disputed race for the Magoffin County Judge Executive. In the November 2014 election, Democrat Charles Doc Hardin won over Republican John Montgomery by 28 votes. Montgomery claimed fraud in the election. A circuit judge threw out the results and declared the office vacant, but Hardin has stayed in office while he appeals. According to our partners at the Herald Leader, if the Supreme Court upholds the lower court's decision, Hardin will be forced out of office.
It has been empty for years, but this morning we've learned that a new restaurant will be moving into the old Calistoga building in Hamburg and Lexington. Fayette County PVA David O'Neill says the Seattle-based chain called Mod Pizza will open up in that building this summer. Mod stands for Made on Demand. It's described as a fast casual pizza restaurant. The building sits just off Winchester Road at Sir Barton. It has been empty since Calistoga closed back in 2011.
We have that snow moving into the southern and southwestern half of our viewing area. Here's the deal, though. You're already getting some snowflakes off across Columbia into Adair County and also Russell Springs. Work your way into Clinton and Wayne County, but the accumulation actually comes through the next 2 hours. So accumulating snow, not so much right now. It starts to build in the next couple of hours, which means that early morning commute is going to be a little treacherous in some spots. Cumberland Parkway is going to be a little tough. 68 here within the hour or two. It's going to be a little tough as well. 150, not so much. As of right now, it slides to the south of you guys. Here in about 2 hours, you could have some snow. I kind of move on in, but Whitley City, you're next in line. Somerset, heads up. As you work across 127 and 27, those two main arteries down in the south and southwestern areas, that's going to be an area of concern as you're traveling this morning. But here's the way this day is going to go. Morning hours through about 11 a.m. to about noon, you have that snow chance in the south. Then we get into the afternoon. The afternoon, you take a break. Everybody takes a break. Only a slight chance at a couple of flakes. It's just going to be really cold. Then we pick right back up on some more snow this evening and off into the night. So we actually have 2 chances of snow today, and sandwiched in between that is a little bit of a break during the afternoon from the snow. But here's the way it's going to turn out. Snowfall amounts, totals within this, both of these systems is going to be rolling on through. 1 inch or more, you got to go in the southern Kentucky. And you guys always put on my Facebook page, Mikey Harris WKYT, or Twitter page, Mikey Harris WX. You always put on there, why do we have a dome over us? Why don't we ever get snow? And you guys up north, Lexington, Frankfort, northbound, you guys get the snow, we don't. Well, you know what? This is focused in on you this time, okay? 1 to 2 inches, I know it's not a lot, but you know, it's more than everybody else. 1 to 2 inches down toward the southeast and the mountainous regions. Around Lexington, Bluegrass, northbound, you're talking about 1 inch or less, but I'd lean more toward less than toward 1 inch. So not a lot of snow, but it's enough to really cause a headache. Saturday, it's more about the temperatures than the snow. Only a couple of flakes, no big issues. Temperatures will be there in the single digits tomorrow morning. Wind chills below 0 tomorrow morning. If you got any plans, if you are a runner, walker, usually in the morning hours outside, it's going to be really tough to do that. Sunday, snow will develop. We're very confident that it's just snow on Sunday, but off into Monday, here comes a threat that we're still watching very closely. We're going to have to keep an eye out on that. Low confidence on what type of precipitation falls. I'll tell you, we're more leaning towards snow and a little bit of a mix than all of a mix, which would be great. Hopefully we can do it that way, because you just don't want a lot of freezing rain falling out of this. You don't want a lot of sleet. Just cause some roadways to be a little bit treacherous. But yeah, more snow than the mix, but still I expect multiple types of precipitation falling out of the system there on Monday. I think Monday and Tuesday is probably your days that could be the most treacherous trying to travel and get around.
We know you'll be watching.
Yep.
Each morning we bring you weather and traffic together. Here's Officer Don with a look at what's happening out on the roads today. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's quiet at the moment on the Circle. We just checked that for you. Also inbound Versailles Road from Woodford County. Traffic is steady past the airport. No problems at all. Let's get a look outside and show you what to expect as you plan to head out the door this morning. Live look at the Circle. We can see in real time what's happening coming in from Georgetown, also from Mount Sterling, Winchester, and Nicholasville Road. Drive times not affected this morning because of collisions, so it's a decent ride in from Nicholasville toward Lexington over toward the mall with no problems. On Harrodsburg Road, traffic's moving moving well too. And on the north side from Paris, 19 minutes, Winchester 21. Richmond's going to take about 29. Now back to you in the studio.
Okay, pretty normal right in this morning. Thank you, Don, and it's good to have you with us. 6:10 on WKYT this morning as you rise and shine on your Friday and get ready for the weekend.
Yeah, we're ready, right? Well, a man with a machete went on a rampage inside an Ohio restaurant. We'll hear from a terrified witness in 3 minutes.
Democratic presidential candidates challenged each other's policies in a sometimes tense debate. I'm Marley Hall in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with the latest coming up.
It's 6:14 on your Friday morning. After a resounding defeat in the New Hampshire primary, Hillary Clinton is now looking to get her campaign back on track.
And debating last night, Clinton and challenger Bernie Sanders were mostly polite, but they sparred over foreign policy and race relations, and it was tense at times. Marley Hall has that report now from Milwaukee.
Hillary Clinton sought to regain momentum in Milwaukee last night, calling the Vermont senator out on his so-called unrealistic plans for the country.
We have to also be very clear, especially with young people, about what kind of government is going to do what for them and what it will cost.
Secretary Clinton, you're not in the White House yet.
Both candidates then turned their attention to immigration and criminal justice reform.
I would hope that we could all agree that we are sick and tired of seeing videos on television of unarmed people, often African Americans, shot by police officers.
When we talk about criminal justice reform and ending the era of mass incarceration, we also have to talk about jobs, education, housing, and other ways of helping communities do better.
With the candidates neck and neck in the polls, minority groups are expected to play a key role in the next nominating contests.
There is no doubt that Secretary Clinton starts with a long-standing record and a long-standing advantage.
One of the more heated exchanges came when Clinton challenged Sanders for being overly critical of President Obama.
The kind of criticism that we've heard from Senator Sanders about our president, I expect from Republicans.
Madam Secretary, that is a low blow.
She made use of the opportunity that Bernie Sanders offered to her earlier today by criticizing what he called this gap in leadership from the president.
The former Secretary of State has worked to set herself up as the candidate who will continue President Obama's legacy, something pundits say appeals to the Democratic base in Nevada and South Carolina. Marley Hall, CBS News, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Now, the Republican presidential candidates will be facing off in their next debate, and that will be tomorrow night in South Carolina. And you can watch that debate live right here on WKYT.
Police in Columbus, Ohio shot and killed a man who stormed into a restaurant and attacked customers with a machete. 4 people were hurt in last night's attacks at Nazareth Restaurant in Delhi, a Mediterranean restaurant. Police say the man was in the restaurant a half hour before the attack and had a conversation with an employee and left and returned.
There was a man on the floor bleeding. There was blood on the floor. It was awful. It was just carnage. I mean, I fell like 5 times. My legs were like jelly, and I thought he's going to come behind me and just slash me up.
Yikes. Police say 2 of the victims were transported in stable condition. 1 was in critical condition. The other victim drove himself to the hospital. A jury has convicted a New York City police officer in connection to a deadly shooting. Police say in 2014, Officer Peter Liangs shot Akai Gurley in a darkened stairwell of a public housing building. Prosecutors claimed he was reckless and did not help Gurley. The jury found Liangs guilty of manslaughter and official misconduct. The New York Police Department fired him after the verdict.
The time this morning is 6:17, and Uber wants to pay $28.5 million to settle 2 class action lawsuits. One concerns the safe ride fee that Uber customers are charged. The suit says it was not legit because Uber never did thorough background checks on its drivers. A judge still needs to approve the deal. It's going to cost a little extra to visit Universal Studios down in Florida. According to the Orlando Sentinel, a one-day adult ticket to one of Universal's 2 Orlando theme parks now costs $105. That's up $3 from last year. The cost of a park-to-park ticket is going up $8. In all, a family of 4 who wants to visit the Universal theme parks should expect to pay a little more than $600 minimum. That does not include food and souvenirs, so be saving up if you're making a trip this summer. What do President Obama, Bill Gates, and Brad Pitt have in common? They all met their significant others at work. A new survey by Career Builder says more than 1/3 of workers have had an office romance, with 37% of those relationships resulting in marriage. On the other hand, 5% say they left a job because their office romance went wrong. So it doesn't always work, but it can.
Well, it's good to know it can. But
Right.
It can be messy,
Yeah.
right? When you mix the two. WKYT This Morning is just getting started. Don't try this on your next flight. Coming up, a band known for its unique music videos goes weightless.
Actually, pretty cool video. I just watched that actually on Facebook. Here's the look outside, and we're holding on to those snow showers moving on through, and they will increase the next few hours. We'll talk about what you can expect and when you can expect these to move in coming up.
Good morning. Welcome back into WKYT This Morning. We're glad you're with us on your Friday at 6:22.
Well, firefighters trying to figure out what caused a fire that destroyed a London restaurant.
And that's what's trending at this hour. We're getting more information in now. The fire at Lee's Famous Recipe started about 9:30 last night. This morning there are still some hot spots and the fire department is still there. Firefighters say the roof of the building collapsed. Lee's was closed at the time, and fortunately no one has been hurt.
In Lincoln County State Police investigating an officer-involved crash. This happened around 1:30 this morning on 1778 south of Stanford. We've called state police for details. We're still waiting to hear back from them.
A 22-year-old man was found dead behind Taco Bell on Nicholasville Road in Lexington last night. His name has not been released. Lexington police say it is possible that cold weather was a factor in his death. It's another cold one out there this morning. A quick check of our forecast now with meteorologist Micah Harris. It's a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day.
Yeah, and the reason being for that is the snow outside. I mean, we're seeing the snow down toward the southwest, across Cumberland Parkway, and also 127, 27. It'll inch towards you very shortly if you're not seeing it already. And also 68, 150, about to see some of this. But really, the accumulation is beginning now. In Adair County, Russell County, I don't even need reports from you guys to know that we're getting accumulation, because look at the reflectivity out of this. It's pretty bright. You see all the whites? Yeah, that means some pretty heavy snow, heavy clips within this. So keep in mind, this is moving eastbound. Somerset will take over within the hour. Already getting some flakes here and there in Pulaski County, but it really takes over and accumulation starts to begin in Pulaski County here within the hour. Temperatures are sitting there in the 20s. It's a cold start to the day. And let's go hour by hour and show you what we can expect as we head off into your Saturday. Saturday is just going to be chilly. I mean, we're talking about the teens for highs. I think only a small chance of snow that we see there in the forecast. So I believe no big issues there on Saturday, except for the fact it's going to be extremely cold. Single digits in the morning. That means, yeah, wind chills below 0 tomorrow morning, guys. So we're going from snow to cold, back to snow, and maybe even a wintry mix. Could be a mess next week, and I'm going to get into that forecast coming out.
Okay, that's the early part of the week, and he keeps promising later next week, maybe a little warm up. So
We'll get the bad stuff out of the way.
Yes, we're going to be ready for that warmer weather when it gets here. Coming up on 6:25, we'll say this ahead of time. Don't try this aboard your next flight. The band OK Go just released a new music video that was shot aboard a plane in zero gravity.
Don't have to worry about me trying it. Conditions so challenging. At one point, the lead singer briefly blacked out on camera. For 3 weeks, they practiced and performed as the plane climbed until it goes over a hump, creating 27 seconds of weightlessness. The band members and production crew threw up 58 times, yuck, while recording the unique video. Is it worth it, is the question.
For those who are keeping count.
Whoa, look at that. She's flexible.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Look at her go. Okay. You'd think a man would learn his lesson not to make bets after losing one and having Betty White's face tattooed on his backside.
That did not stop one Houston radio producer from trying again. Hoss lost a Super Bowl bet against the owner of a local furniture store, so naturally he had to get a tattoo on air of the store owner's face, and it was, let's say, high up on his thigh. Since Hoss was such a good sport about it, he did get a new set of living room furniture out of the deal. So there you go.
Wow. Okay.
Here's the word. Don't forget your pet's Valentine's Day as well.
Yeah, you don't want to leave those out. Penguins at London Zoo were given special treats ahead of Sunday's big day. They were served up their favorite fish in heart-shaped blocks of ice. Keepers at the zoo there said they hope the offerings will get the penguins in an amorous mood to mark the start of breeding season.
Okay.
You know, a full belly helps, I would say.
There you go. Well, they look like they're enjoying themselves.
Very cute, aren't they?
Good to have you along with us this morning on WKYT 626 now.
Yeah, we hope your Friday's off to an awesome start. When we return, a look at some of the more popular, unique gifts Googled in each state.
We'll check that out. Also, all of our top stories on the way. And tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $87 million. Saturday night's Powerball jackpot is $176 million. Kentucky mornings start with WKYT.